What is up, Dendro Traveller? What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. Hope you all are having a great day, and today's video is going to be about the Dendro Traveller. So a few days ago, Miho released the new Sumeru teaser and the Dendro Traveller along with the skills were shown, but what the skills do, what kind of effect they have, those weren't revealed yet. So today we are gonna be trying to predict those skills, what the Dendro Traveller could do, whether the Dendro Traveller is going to be DPS, a support, a sub DPS, or maybe even a healer. So yeah, I think the elemental skill is pretty straightforward. I mean, there is nothing much extra to it. So I'm gonna call this skill the high speed weed cutter. Bruh. I know the name is weird, but it's only because the skill reminds me of this. Okay, so for the effect, performs an AoE Dendro slash that deals AoE Dendro damage to enemies. Okay, now let's give it a 50% chance to generate 2 elemental particles. So I guess that's it for the elemental skill. I think the cooldown on the skill should be fairly low, so you can use it again and again and get more burst up time, which I personally think is what's going to set the Dendro Traveller apart from the other travelers. With that being said, let's move on to the elemental burst. So for the elemental burst, as you can see, the traveller plunges into the ground and summons this green lotus kind of thingy, and there is also an AoE Dendro circle, so I'm guessing this burst should be associated with some kind of buff. Okay, so we are gonna call this skill the floating lotus lamp. Come on, it's not that bad, is it? Anyways, for the description, the traveller summons a floating lotus lamp within a Dendro circle, which can trigger the following reactions. Number 1 would be explosion with pyro, bloom with hydro, and catalyze with electro. Move on to the reactions in detail now. We've already seen in the teaser that when a bloom reaction is triggered, this small seed like thingy gets summoned, and then later it can trigger certain effects like this explosive reaction with pyro, high speed attack when it's affected by electro. So just think of the Traveller's elemental burst as one giant seed. To make it more easier to explain, just think of this mushroom like thingy as the Traveller's elemental burst floating lotus lamp. Okay, so after the Traveller uses their burst, suppose you use a hydro attack, it will trigger bloom, that is, it will produce this seed like thingy as usual. The difference between this and triggering bloom on an enemy is that maybe on an enemy you can only produce up to one seed, while on the Traveller's burst you can produce multiple seeds, and then on every single of those seeds you can trigger further reactions. It should make it an endless process of triggering reactions again and again. Next we move on to explosion. So for explaining explosion, we will be moving on to this very old video of mine where I tried to figure out what kind of attacks the Dendro slimes had, and there was this one particular gas cloud kind of thing that explodes on contact with pyro attacks. So the explosive reaction for the Traveller's elemental burst could be very similar to that one kind of attack. Now coming for the last and final, the catalyze reaction. That is what happens when the Dendro Traveller's elemental burst meets electro. Now this was something I was confused about, but you know, if you check this out, what electro essentially does with Dendro is it puts it into a frenzied state, you know, like how when we get shocked and we go stuff like that. So it's basically sort of a frenzied state of attacks, and you can see that in this clip where once the pyro attack hits the mob, it actually slows down, and when the electro attack hits the mob, it speeds up. It sort of speeds up and it does faster attacks and in more frequency of attacks. Okay, so now this is where the Dendro circle, which I was talking about earlier, comes into play. It is possible that the AoE, the field of effect of the elemental burst, also applies continuous dendro damage to the enemies or the mobs who are within the circle. And so, just like I said before, so when electro meets the dendro within the circle, it probably puts it into a frenzied state of action, meaning that it is possible that the dendro application becomes faster and the dendro dot which is applied onto the enemy becomes more faster, or it becomes increased in frequency. So if I were to summarize, it would be like the first one, explosion. So the floating lotus lamp, it explodes on contact with pyro. Number 2, bloom. It can produce multiple seeds on contact with hydro, which can further react with pyro, hydro, and electro. And third, on contact with electro, the dendro application or the continuous dendro damage that happens within the field of the circle, it increases in frequency and speed. Okay, before wrapping up this video, we were actually trying to find out what kind of a character the Dendro Traveller would be. Now, I had said before that the Dendro Circle, it should be giving a buff, and I think it should be giving an elemental mastery buff. But however, I feel that the elemental mastery part of the Dendro Circle buff could be hidden or locked beneath some constellation, just like how C6 of Diona unlocks an elemental mastery buff. And in conclusion, the Dendro Traveller, I'm not sure if it could be DPS. I do feel it could be a sub DPS. It feels more like an enabler, a character who can help you deal a lot more damage. So yeah, I'm not sure it would fall under any categories of DPS or sub DPS. You can call him a proper support. And yeah, the Dendro Traveller is going to be probably one of the strongest supports, and could make it one of the strongest travelers so far. And yeah, so I hope this video helped you guys, and hope you guys enjoyed watching it. So if you liked it, do like and leave a subscribe, and I'll see you next time.